As soon as the huge black shadow took shape, it waved its two long arms, like two pitch-black long whips. The offensive was fierce, like lightning. Feeling the terrifying power contained in these two attacks, Luolan's beautiful face changed color, and she bit the tip of her tongue without hesitation, spitting out a mouthful of blood. The stalkless long sword turned into a heaven-shaking giant sword, facing downwards, and cuts down fiercely. In the silent collision, the two arms of the black shadow were blocked for a moment, and Luolan's long sword artifact also flew out. The attacks that the black shadows can issue after fusion are countless times stronger than those little black shadows. Divine Soul artifact is driven by the power of divine consciousness. Although the power is unpredictable, if it is damaged, it will also affect the divine soul. Therefore, when the long sword is knocked into the air, Luolan's pretty face was pale, and spit out a mouthful of blood. With her powerful cultivation level of the Void King realm, she was injured by a single move. At this moment, everyone clearly realized the power of these weird shadows. Fortunately, the four of them had already rushed out of the ground and flew high into the sky. They dared not turn their heads or stay, and continued to fly upwards. And in the depths of the ravine, there was also a terrifying roar at this moment. Two huge black arms protruded from the ground, opened their 10 fingers, turned into huge claws, and grabbed at the four people. However, the distance seemed to be a little insufficient. When the two giant palms were more than 10 feet away from Luolan at the end, they caught air. The next moment, the two giant palms slowly retracted, the howling that had been filling everyone's ears gradually subsided, and the whole world returned to calm again. The leader Niguang slowed down and finally stayed still in the air, looking down thoughtfully. These things don't seem to be chasing out. Yang Kai also discovered the matter. It looks like this. Niguang nodded, agreeing with Yang Kai's point of view. However, it is still better not to be taken lightly. It is better to leave here first. The other three nodded quickly, and followed Niguang to continue flying towards the distance. A quarter of an hour later, the four settled in a safe place again. Although the area was still deserted, there was no such crisscross gully. After confirming that there was really no danger around, the four stopped and took a rest. The crisis they experienced before has been resolved. But until this moment, everyone still has some lingering fears. Because the attack encountered this time is simply unpredictable. After all, before entering the underground gully, everyone has surveyed the surroundings. Even with the two Void King realm powerhouses around, they still couldn't avoid the bad luck of being attacked, which is really strange. Elder Luo, how is your injury? Niguang looked at Luolan, who was pale, and asked. It's okay, it's just that the divine soul is a little turbulent. Luolan frowned and replied. That's good. Niguang also breathed a sigh of relief. He thought that with his second-order Void King realm cultivation level, even if it wouldn't be smooth sailing in this lost earth, it is impossible to encounter any fatal threats, but after such an experience, he dare not think so. If it hadn't been for Yang Kai to help him escape, he didn't know how long he would sink into the illusion. Maybe he wouldn't be able to wake up until his physical body withered, and he would surely be utterly destroyed by the time. Uncle Ni, what are those things? Shui Yu asked with some lingering fear. The various things she experienced in the illusion before were just like what happened in reality. Even after being awakened by Yang Kai, she still failed to adapt to the real world for a short time. I don't know. I have never heard of such things in Lost Earth. Has Elder Luo ever heard of it? Niguang shook his head and looked at Luolan and asked. This mistress doesn't know much about the Lost Earth. I have never heard of such weird things. It seems that the people who encountered these things before did not survive, so the information about them has not been revealed. Niguang thoughtfully, but it's okay. From the previous situation, they are very hidden. Even the old man can't detect their existence, but they can only survive in the dark underground. As long as we don't enter the underground, we should not encounter them again. And we haven't been delayed for much time. In the illusion, the old man seems to have spent many years, but judging from our current state, we only wasted 1 or 2 hours at most. The methods of these things are really terrible. Hearing what he said, the other three nodded slightly. Elder Luo, heal your injuries first, and we will leave when you are almost done. Niguang looked at Luo Lan again. Then I will trouble everyone to look after me, and I will try my best to be as fast as possible. Luo Lan said with a gratitude. She didn't have much friendship with Niguang, but Niguang was willing to wait for her at this time, which naturally made her grateful, which also verified Niguang's character from the side and was a candidate for cooperation. Niguang's strength is stronger than her, and cooperation with such a person is naturally what Luo Lan most desired. However, it may also be related to her behavior just now after she took the initiative to cover their back while retreating. Niguang's attitude towards her is obviously much more pleasant than at the beginning. Luo Lan took Yongkai into this lost earth because she wanted to count on Yongkai's accomplishments in Space Force, but because of this she got Niguang's help. Without Yongkai's presence, it would be impossible for Niguang to invite her to act together. Next, Luo Lan took the spirit pill and began to make up for the trauma of her divine soul. But Yongkai cast his gaze to the void not far away. He felt that somewhere in the void over there was a weak space force fluctuation, and he could even infer from the trace of that energy fluctuation that there was a hidden space crack at that location. It seems that Luo Lan is right. This lost earth is really a terrible place, and there are indeed some space cracks invisible to the naked eye. If someone rushes through it rashly, they will definitely be cut in half by the space crack and die. What are you looking at? Shui Yu suddenly leaned over and asked softly. He don't know if it is an illusion. Since just now, Yongkai has noticed that Shui Yu's attitude towards him seems to have changed slightly. Before, Shui Yu's eyes were extremely tangled when she paid attention to him, and it was a bit of love and hatred. But now, her gaze was very gentle, and even when she was escaping just now, Shui Yu was holding on to Yongkai's arm tightly, looking at ease. I didn't see anything. Yongkai shook his head. What's the matter with you? What illusion did you experience just now? Your state of mind, it shouldn't be affected so deeply, right? He was asking casually, but what he didn't expect is Shui Yu's face turned red, as if thinking of something embarrassing, and hummed, what does it matter to you? Yongkai was so speechless and couldn't help but sneered, forget it, I will just leave it alone, it's definitely not a good thing. Shui Yu gritted her teeth and stared at him. Yongkai was immediately uncomfortable by her gaze, and quickly looked around, trying to divert Shui Yu's attention. At this time, he noticed that Niguang had actually taken out a map of animal skins, frowning and staring, as if he was investigating something, releasing spiritual mind from time to time to compare with the surrounding terrain. There are no clear things on the map, most of which are intersecting lines, and there are also several locations that have been marked with different marks. Your Chamber of Commerce actually has a map here. Yongkai looked surprised. Shui Yu smiled and said, what's so strange about this? It's not the first time that our Chamber of Commerce people have come to this kind of place. There are a map of one or two places, and there is nothing to fuss about, but the Lost Earth is too big. We can't grasp all the maps here. Uncle Ni has only a small part. So that's it. Yongkai nodded. So, do you have a clear destination for your trip? Well, we are going to a medicine valley, where there are many spirit medicine that have never existed in this star territory. Legend has it that the spirit medicine there is beyond the grade of the Void King grade. Some can rejuvenate people, some can even increase the strength of a person. Yongkai looked at her strangely. What's the matter? Shui Yu suspiciously asked. You really don't have any precautions, it's not like you. Yongkai laughed. Although everyone is in a cooperative relationship with each other now, what Shui Yu revealed is undoubtedly a very important information. She is not the kind of woman with big breasts and no brain, otherwise, it is impossible to become the young master of the constant gathering Chamber of Commerce. She revealed this to him for no reason, which really surprised Yongkai. Hearing what he said, Shui Yu was also stunned, as if she realized something. She immediately turned aside her gaze, and sneered, what about telling you, with Uncle Ni here, can you still grab the food? This was a bit of a taste for covering up, and Xianxia couldn't ask any more. However, after such a comparison, Xianxia realized that Luolan's actions this time were a bit too rash. Niguang dared to enter this place, relying on the tyranny of his own cultivation level and also being prepared, but Luolan was obviously passionate, thinking that with Xianxia, she could be rampant in this place. She didn't understand the Lost Earth too much. At the underground gully where Xianxia and others had stayed, an hour after they left, a figure fell from the sky and landed nearby. His whole body was wrapped in a black chi, exuding an evil and violent scent, and this person was astonishingly the Void King realm powerhouse that Xianxia had paid attention to before. After this person fell, he turned his head and looked around, took a deep breath, and made a weird laugh. Very well, it is really near here. It seems that they haven't left for too long. Young boy, I didn't expect that you can grow to this level after not seeing you for so many years. If Xianxia heard this, his face would definitely change color in amazement because he had no idea who this Void King realm powerhouse was, but it was not difficult to infer from his words that this person obviously knew him and he knew him well. To be continued.